What's up, YouTube? It's your boy JB, and I'm here today with the week's hottest topics. This is for the week of August the 17th through the 21st. So, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just chat about what's at the top of the list of shit that has happened this week. All right, so one thing that I do want to first talk about is the DNC. That's not in my notes. I did not watch it. I know it was a 4-night event. I know last night Joe Biden accepted the Democratic, ticket. I know that the night before Kamala Harris, she accepted the VP. I know there were a lot of speakers, President Obama, I think Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, former President Clinton, the list goes on. Michelle Obama. I think the general consensus with the DNC is that we're sick of YSAP. Shout out to Roxanne for that one. I think that's just a general consensus. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about some political stuff in just a minute. Don't want to include it in this right now, but the one thing that I do want to preference and say when it comes down to the DNC, because I see when I tweet about stuff, these alt-right Republicans, they always want to come at you talking about, oh, that's typical Dem. And the crazy thing is, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat, nor am I actually a Republican. I find myself to be in between. If I find that a candidate, speaks to me, I'll vote for that candidate. But I don't necessarily see Democrat versus Republican. That's just not who I am. I will say, you guys, get out there and vote. I know YSAP is doing everything in his power to try to fuck up this election, especially when it comes down to this whole voter fraud that he's talking about. And I saw somebody tweet that there's a difference between an absentee ballot and a voter, whatever, the vote by mail register, vote by mail. There's a difference between them. Care to enlighten me on what that difference is, because it's the same situation. You're voting by mail. Even if you're absentee, you're still voting on a piece of paper. You're still sending it in the mail. So what's the big difference? That's right, there is none. He's just terrified of not being reelected for a second term. So I want to preface this by saying that this is not me telling you guys who to get out there and vote for. That's not something that I want to do. What I want to tell you guys once again is definitely get out there and vote. Also, when you vote, make an educated vote. Research the candidates. Make sure that they align with what you believe in. And if they don't align with what you believe in, don't vote for them. And that goes for president on down to the lower levels, like your county judges, your sheriffs, whoever, everybody that you vote for on that ticket. Make sure that you research them and vote for the person who, like I said, once again, aligns with you, your values, and your beliefs. And that is where we're going to leave it at with politics for right now. But like I said, I am going to talk a little bit more about politics, just not right now. That's going to be its own separate thing, but it will be included with politics. So let's keep it moving. All right, guys, so this might be something that I include with my politics talk. So, like I said, I don't have an issue with people who are Republicans. I don't have an issue with people who support Trump. I mean, that's your belief. If you believe in the shit that he says, if you support him, that is on you, not me. So it has nothing to do with me. So I don't knock people who do it. But what I do take, and I don't even take an issue to it, it just kind of throws me for a loop when I see a black person that supports Trump. And more specifically, like Isaiah Washington and Angela Stanton. Again, that's their beliefs. If they want to, fuck with him, go for it. He's not for me. Like he makes everything, the shit that he says. I don't know how anybody can support him, but people do support him. But the problem that I have with people like Isaiah Washington and Angela Stanton is the fact that they say some of the most degrading things. Like I blocked Angela Stanton on Instagram because I got tired of seeing her in the shade room comments about anything black, and it's always her saying something negative. And like with Isaiah Washington, he went on a rant and said some of the most negative stereotypes that you can think about black people, when not all black people fit those stereotypes. And I hate that. That's like another thing that I hate is when people talk about, the whole Black Lives Matter thing, and then they want to try to equate Black Lives Matter, saying Black lives don't matter until a cop shoots somebody. But when it's black on black crime, there's never an issue. Well, number one, with black on black crime, that's not real, first and foremost. I hate to bust that bubble for you. Black on black crime is not real. That's like me saying white on white crime, Hispanic on Hispanic crime. Crime is crime however you want to slice it up, dice it up, whatever you want to do. Crime is crime. Period, point blank. White people kill just as much as black people do. Like, you got mass killers out there that, the Sandy Hook shooting, the nightclub shooting in Florida, the church shooting, Columbine, Virginia Tech. Last time I checked, those were white people who killed people. So stop with the whole black on black crime. I do hate that. But again, back to me being, talking about Trump supporters, I have nothing against a Trump supporter. You're not my cup of tea, personally. Just got to put it out there. But I wouldn't harbor any ill will towards you, any hate towards you. I would just pray for you. Honestly, and black people, same with black people. I don't understand why a black person would support them, but that's not for me to understand. That's for you to understand. But Isaiah Washington, I feel like, he's been against black people since he got fired from Grey's Anatomy. That's my personal opinion. And it's so interesting that he's on a show that we all love, P-Valley. I just hope, I don't know how this is going to work out. Now, Angela Stanton, speaking of her, she and D.L. Hughley had a little bit of a tiff. I think it was here in Dallas. He was they were at the airport. He was eating his breakfast. She went up to him to try to, confront him about him calling her a coon. Well, baby, if the shoe fits, wear that motherfucker. Because, he says any black person that supports Trump is a coon. I agree. Yeah, I gotta agree. So he said, she called him a coward and a punk because he didn't want to go back and forth with her. He says, no, the reason that I didn't do that is because you didn't have a mask on. And he said, my security got involved because, you don't want to see shit get ugly. Kind of like why you wear makeup. I'm like, shots fired. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I don't want to go too deep into those two. So let's move on. All right, you guys. And then next, let's talk about Rush Limbaugh's dumbass. Now, I felt bad for the man. I almost called him a son of a bitch. Well, I just called him a son of a bitch. I felt bad for him, with his cancer diagnosis. And you would think that someone who got diagnosed with cancer, you were basically at that point looking at knocking at, hopefully not, but in most cases, it's kind of slim. And you would think that would make you think and reevaluate your life. But in his case, no. So Rush Limbaugh used his radio show's massive reach to push stories about vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris as a hoe, and this is a mattress, but it's a mistress. The 69-year-old broadcaster wondered if the mainstream media would pick up on stories about Harris's brief and already public romance with former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown 25 years ago. If the woman had an affair with the man, what the fuck does that have to do with the price of tea in China today? Your president slept with a porn star. The first lady, you can see her titties all over the internet. What else? Who else? Like politicians for years, especially the men, they have been known, look at all the sex scandals with the men in politics. But now you want to go with this whole thing of, and then there was a broadcast, I think not a radio broadcaster, but like a sports photographer who was wearing either a hat or a shirt that said Joe and the Hoe. And then, I saw on Amazon that they were actually selling that fucking shirt and it said Joe and the Hoe. I'm like, how goddamn disrespectful can y'all be? Like, y'all have no respect for women. Like, would you want somebody to call your mama a hoe? I'm pretty sure if somebody called your mom a hoe, you'd be ready to fight, unless you just don't give a fuck about your mom or your sister, like mom, sister, aunt, um, cousins. Maybe some of y'all just don't give a fuck about shit like that. But I'd be damned if somebody called any woman in my family a hoe, and in my face and get away with it. Like, stupidity at its finest. Like, you really would have thought that fool would have learned and just said, let me move on with my fucking life. But I guess not. Shall we move on? I think we shall. All right, you guys. So the biggest story that I want to discuss is going to be that big bad bodybuild bitch, James Timothy Norman, also known as Tim Norman from Sweetie Pies. I mean, that big bad bodybuild bitch with them wide ass hips, them wide childbirthing hips, that terrible shape. And then let's just talk about it. He was arrested on federal charges stemming from the 2016 killing of his nephew, 18-year-old Andre Montgomery. Now, when I saw that mugshot posted all over social media, I'm like, wow, why is he smiling like a Cheshire cat? I'm like, because I didn't read the headlines until I got down. I'm like, wait a minute. You are in jail for conspiring to murder your nephew, and you got this big cheesecake ass smile on your face? There's something wrong with you, Tim Norman, you big bad bodybuild bitch. Shout out to Kaya for that one. I'm not gonna get over that, you big bad bodybuild bitch. So it says that the reality star was charged by a federal complaint on August 11th and was placed under arrest Tuesday in Jackson, Mississippi. Federal authorities claim that in 2014, Norman secured a $450,000 life insurance policy on his teenage nephew, making himself the sole beneficiary. Now, is that not fishy? Right? I mean, $450,000. I mean, I know it takes a lot to bury a person because I buried my mother. And that was a lengthy thing. Like, normally when you get insurance policies, you get a policy for, $20,000, maybe $30,000, but $450,000, that is a big ass red flag right there. And then if you turn in a claim to, like, I would think it has an insurance, I work in claims on auto side, but even when we get stuff that looks kind of fishy and fraudulent, we have to dig deep into it to figure out what's going on with the claim if we're going to pay out on a claim. Like, $450,000, like, the person who wrote that policy didn't have any questions about why you're getting such a high insurance policy. $450,000, that's a lot of fucking money. And then he appointed himself the sole beneficiary. Okay, so according to the complaint, Norman is believed to have conspired with an exotic dancer named Terica Ellis, as well as others, to set Montgomery up to be murdered. In the days leading to his death, Ellis, residing in Memphis, Tennessee, communicated with Montgomery that she planned to meet him in St. Louis. And on March 13, 2016, the day before Montgomery's murder, Norman allegedly also flew to St. Louis himself from his home in Los Angeles. The following day, Ellis and Norman allegedly used temporary phones to communicate with each other as well as track Montgomery's whereabouts. This is so disgusting. Like, how do you do some shit like that? That is just purely disgusting to me. Like, ugh. That fat ass, bad body built just looks, and it's so funny. When it came down to Jennifer Williams on Basketball Wives, when she kept talking about Tim Norman, I always felt like Jennifer was just putting 20 on 10. But, now looking at this shit, she wasn't. Hold on, you guys, I'm working, so I gotta kind of go on break. I'll be right back with you. All right, you guys, so I am back. So yeah, when it came to Jennifer on Basketball Wives, I just felt like Jennifer was putting 20 on 10. But damn, reading all this shit, it's just crazy as fuck. Like, how do you conspire to kill your nephew, your flesh and blood? Like, I feel bad for Miss Robbie. Like, how do you fucking conspire to kill your nephew? Like, sometimes, they say, God, your own family member. So it says immediately after learning of his location, Ellis placed a phone call to Norman. Now, in the days following the murder, Ellis deposited over $9,000 in cash into various bank accounts. 1 week later, Norman is said to have contacted the life insurance company in an attempt to collect on the policy he obtained on his nephew, but he never got the money. That shit is mind blowing, baffling, crazy as fuck. Sometimes, family ain't shit. And in this case, family is not shit. How do you live with yourself knowing that you did some shit like that? The biggest question and the biggest red flag to me is just that $450,000 policy. Who the fuck wrote that? Like, that was not a red flag to you? But I mean, I guess not. I mean, I guess as long as you getting that, but even still, I'm like, come on. $450,000, it does not take that much to bury a person. It does not take that much to bury anybody. I don't give a fuck what kind of funeral you're trying to have. It don't take that much money. God, that big, bad, body-built bitch, wide hips ass, childbirthing hips ass, fat ass. It's a special place in hell for that motherfucker. It is a special ass place in hell for you, Mr. James Timothy Norman, looking like fucking Rasputia. Let's move on. All right, guys, next let's discuss my girl Meg Thee Stallion. So, why does it say WAL? It's WAP. Select. All right, so a big congratulations go out to Meg and Cardi for their song Wet Ass Pussy, or WAP, whichever one you want to call it. That song is #1, doing really well. So once again, congratulations to those two ladies. Now this week, it's people have been coming out against, well, not coming out, but Megan Thee Stallion actually came out because people are accusing her of making up that whole situation that happened with Tory Lanez, which she has now confirmed that he was the one that shot her. She said that yesterday on her Instagram live. And people are just making up the fact that, saying that, she did this for a publicity stunt and all kind of things. It's talking about the wet ass pussy video with her in the heels and dancing. Y'all do know what flesh wounds are called, right? Like a flesh wound, it could just hit the flesh and it doesn't hurt. So that could, or the bullet could have grazed her or anything like that. Like, and then for her, people have done this to her so much that she has shown videos of her getting stitches, shown pictures of her foot, which I did not need to see that. Thank God I'm not squeamish or anything, but like, people just leave her the fuck alone. Like, she said it happened, and then you saw it on the video, her backing up and the blood splat, like the blood is just following her. So obviously something happened to her. Like, I just wish people would leave her the fuck alone. Like, who the hell has time to make up some shit like that? Who? God, people need to just grow up. Like, one, people need to stop fucking with her. It's not that big of a deal. Like, if she didn't get shot, then why is it anybody's concern? Why is it anybody's concern if she got shot or not? She said it happened. Believe her. Let it go. Move on with your lives. Do something different. Social media just gives people free reign to feel like they can say and do whatever the fuck they want these days. And that is one of the aspects of social media that I do not enjoy, is that people feel like they can say whatever the fuck they want to say without any repercussions sometimes. I feel like people wouldn't, without social media, people wouldn't be so bold to say the shit that they say. They would actually, if they came up to a person's face and said some shit, they wouldn't. Period, point blank. But let's move on. All right, you guys, and also in a bit of sad news, Deborah Lee. It's kind of sad and there's some good news sprinkled in between. So Deborah Lee's son, Quinn Coleman, he passed away unexpectedly on Sunday, August 16th at the age of 31. Now, the cause of death at this point is unknown. We know that Quinn, he was a DJ and he was an A&R executive. Wow, I didn't know that. So at this time, the family is devastated. Like I said, there's no cause of death at this point. I just hope that it's not foul play, drugs, or anything like that. I just hope. But I mean, how can you die of natural causes at 31? Wow. But prayers up to the family and rest in peace to Quinn Coleman. Also, Deborah Lee. She. We also know that she's the former chairman of BET. She's been appointed to the board of directors at Procter and Gamble. So that was the good news in this whole situation. It's sad that her son passed away, but she has a new position at Procter and Gamble, which, I mean, congratulations are definitely in order to her. And like I said, once again, rest in peace to her son, Quinn Coleman. I don't know if he had any kids or anything like that. I didn't do too deep a research into it, but it says here that Deborah and her family are devastated by Quinn's passing and ask for privacy and respect as they grieve together, which is understandable. So once again, condolences to the family and congratulations to Deborah Lee on her new position at Procter and Gamble. Let's move on. All right, you guys. So next up, let's talk about C. Murder, also known as Corey Miller. Masterpiece brother. So in 2002, a fan of Miller's was fatally shot in a New Orleans. I guess it was in New Orleans, and C. Murder was convicted of killing him in 2009. Wow, 2002 and 2009, big difference. So since the shooting, C. Murder has maintained that he's innocent, and since his trial, witnesses have recanted, new evidence of his potential innocence has come to light, and there are also claims of jurors being pressured into voting to convict. Now, the two witnesses both said in 2018 Miller wasn't the shooter and that they felt pressured to lie under oath. That is so sad. Like the fact that they, felt pressured to lie under oath. So the prosecution was just going to do anything to get a conviction. That is fucking crazy. So this is coming to light because Monica is now working with Kim Kardashian, Jay-Z, Van Jones, and Meek Mills in their whole reform thing. If all this stuff is speaking with all this new evidence, I hope that because this man has been in jail for quite some time now. I just hope that if he did not kill the man and there is evidence out there that proves his innocence, I really 100% do hope that, the prosecutors do take a look at, I know they probably don't want to overturn their conviction, but if you have a man in prison that didn't kill anybody and there's evidence there and the witnesses are saying that they felt like they had to lie on the stand to give you the conviction that you got, then we need to take a look at this case a little bit deeper. So that's pretty much all I'm saying. That just, do the right thing. I know that's hard to say when it comes to, the legal system and especially with black people. But if you got an innocent man in prison, don't keep him in prison for the rest of his life for something that he did not do. Especially, like I said, if you have said proof that he did not do it. Like craziness. Crazy, 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 crazy. Shall we move on? All right, you guys, and also in some more bit of legal news. So 18 years after Jam Master Jay's death, federal prosecutors said on Monday they have charged two men in connection with his 18-year-old unsolved murder. Now, while suggesting the artist celebrated for his anti-drug stance, may have been ambushed over a cocaine deal. Damn, a cocaine deal. Jesus Christ. So the suspects in the nearly 2-decade-old murder, one of New York's most enduring cold cases, were identified as Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan Jr. in a 10-count indictment unsealed Monday. That is crazy. Wow. Cocaine. Now I know one of them is in jail currently. I don't remember. I didn't get that. I know one of them is currently in jail, and then the second suspect, which I think is Carl. I I think Carl is the one that's the second suspect. He is, you know, claiming his innocence in this situation with this whole case. I think that's what I read. Let me pull that up because I believe that's what I read. I just want to make sure that I have everything correct before I close out this story. But I think I'm correct about that. Yeah, he pleads not guilty. And let's see if it gives me a little bit of detail of what he says. So a man eyed for years as a possible suspect in the 2002 fatal shooting of hip-hop pioneer Jbsayzwhat pled not guilty at his arraignment on Tuesday and remained in federal custody where he is already serving, that's the other one, where he's already serving a prison sentence for robbery. Ronald Washington, 56, entered his plea remotely from Kentucky while his attorney and the government's lawyers appeared by teleconference because of coronavirus concerns. Washington and Carl Jr., 36, face a mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years in prison and a maximum of life in prison or the death penalty if convicted of murder in the death of Jason J. Meisel, known professionally as Jam Master Jay. Jordan pled not guilty at his arraignment on Monday, the day federal prosecutors announced the indictment. So police have identified at least 4 people in the studio with Jay when he was killed, including the 2 armed gunmen, but the case was cold for years. Even when thousands of dollars in reward money was offered, a witness refused to come forward. Washington, who had reportedly been living on a couch at Jay's home in the days before the killing, was publicly named as a possible suspect or witness as far back as 2007? Wow. So prosecutors allege he waved a handgun and ordered another person at the recording studio to lie on the ground while Jason shot Jay in the head on, oh my God. So according to prosecutors, Jay would bring in bulk amount of cocaine to sell retail and was killed as retribution for cutting Washington out of a plan to distribute 10 kilograms in Maryland. That is sad. All this over drugs. I just hope that justice is served. That is the one thing that I do want to say in this one. If these 2 men, I know, one is saying he's pleading not guilty, but if there's evidence to prove that you did it, do the time for the crime that you committed. Let's move on. All right, you guys, and then the last story before we get into the small stuff. So, after 3 years of marriage, MC Lyte is filing for divorce from her husband. She and her husband, they married in 2017 after knowing each other 1 year prior to meeting on Match.com. And it is cited that the couple is divorcing for irreconcilable differences. I wonder what those irreconcilable differences are. No shade, no tea, but for years when it comes down to MC Lyte, when I found out that she got married and when I found out that she got married to a man, I was hella shocked. I was like, wow, you really can, as the old saying goes, never judge a book by its cover. And that cover is very, very hard because I was always under the impression that she was a lesbian. No shade, no tea, just thought she was a lesbian, kind of like what DeBrad. It was, everybody knew for years DeBrad was a lesbian, but you just never really said anything, and she never said anything until recently. Same with Queen Latifah. Everybody, we know her tea, not putting it out there because she ain't ever put it out there. So this is alleged that she's a lesbian, but who are we fooling? Just being honest, who are we fooling? And also with Alicia Keys, I swear to God, for years before she even married Swiss Beats, I always thought Alicia Keys was a lesbian. I'm like, and then when she married him, I'm like, oh, so is she, never mind. So yeah, MC Lyte is filing for divorce from her husband. So I wonder if she will swing back to the late. Shut up, 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 shut up. I'm not gonna say anything. That's just where we're gonna leave it at. She's gonna file for divorce. I hope that they both live happy lives with whoever and whatever makes them happy. And that is all I gotta say about that one. Nothing less, nothing more, because I don't want to be a shady bird. So move on. All right, you guys. And then lastly, in small talk, let's give a congratulations out to Keisha Kayor and Gucci Mane, who are expecting their first child together. Where are her other kids at? Where are his other kids? Do their kids live with them? And that's not me being shady by no means. Because I know she has other kids, right? She does have other kids. Because that was the biggest thing when they got married, was her kids. Which I don't understand why people were so concerned about her kids. I mean, if another family member's taking care of it, never mind. Let's close that can of worms on both of them. Both of them. Both. Now that Instagram post that she posted, I could have done without it. Like, girl, it's easy just to say Gucci and I are pregnant, instead of talking about, she's talking about her sitting on his dick. I'm like, Keisha. We didn't need to hear it. We didn't want to know it. We know how babies are made. We're very well aware of how babies are made. So, no. You could have just said we're pregnant. You could have showed a pregnancy test. You could have did whatever you wanted to do. You could have showed a sonogram, whatever. But that post threw me for a loop. And then lastly, let's talk about Selena Powell, who's alleging. Now, this was nasty when I heard about, the Trey Songz thing about him pissing on women. I'm like, damn, what kind of R. Kelly shit are you into? And then, him taking the women's phones. What is it with him? Because, he did the same thing with Keke Palmer, took her phone. And she felt, some sexual stuff there that she wasn't comfortable with. And then, him coming out with all this stuff. I don't know what to believe. Because when it comes to Selena Powell, now, Keke Palmer, I believe, her. I don't see her having any reason to lie. She doesn't need to come up on nothing. She's already, doing well for herself. She has so many, she does so much. She has so many endorsements. So I don't see Keke Palmer lying about shit. Selena Powell, however, she's a known liar. And I'm not going to sit here and say that she's lying about this situation, because I don't know this. I don't know what happened. And I'm not going to sit here and, say that, she's lying, because I don't know that to be factual, to be truthful, to be nothing. So I'm just going to say, until further information comes out, I choose to believe Selena Powell. Now, was also, because she was on a podcast, the thing that stood out me with that podcast when she said that she was getting fucked by somebody, because her friend's like, oh, you're being shy. She should have stayed shy when she said she was getting fucked by somebody. And then 7 basketball players came in the room and she sucked all their dicks. I don't slut shame. I don't shame anybody that loves sex. I love sex too, but damn. Why do these entertainers and rappers and people still sleep with her? I hope for her sake she gets tested, and I hope these men that sleep with her get tested. That's all I gotta say. Again, I'm not shaming nobody, but when you get around like that, I hope people are using protection. That's the only thing that I can say. I hope we're using protection. But you guys, that's gonna wrap it up for me with this week's hottest topics. As always, we do this the same time, same place. Not always the same time, but definitely same day. Same day, same place. And so until the next time, you guys, do me a big solid favor out there. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Stay hydrated. It is hotter than fuck out there. And until the next one, you guys, I will see you guys later. Bye.